Hello, this is a video guide sort of thing to Scout Car spam as the Soviets. With the latest update, I find that Scout Car spam is surprisingly viable, and the primary reason for that is that engineers have had their cost reduced to 170 manpower, which is very low, and Scout Cars has gone down to 190. And even though they cost 10 fuel, you can still make 3 or 4 of them and have a really solid early game. So what I like to do is start out with 3 engineers, and then I'll send one down to whatever area of the map to cap, and then I'll send 2 to a more forward position where I expect to encounter resistance. So when you make scout cars, as you probably know, your biggest challenge is killing grenadiers and dodging Panzerfaust. One engineer squad is really not enough to out-repair the damage of a grenadier squad, which is why you really want to make sure you have 2 that are in close proximity to each other. And once you've got your 3 engineers sort of on the map, you can start cranking out scout cars, and you probably want to get 3 or 4. The thing with this strategy is it is very micro-intensive. You're going to have to be able to drive 3 or 4 vehicles around and keep them all alive. They don't have to survive till the end of the game, because that's impossible, but they do have to survive until you can get real vehicles out on the field, like half-tracks, T-70s. So this guy is going with Grenadiers, and Grenadiers are, like I said, going to be your biggest challenge. MGs are easy to deal with. You obviously just circle around behind them, and snipers are obviously no threat at all. It's really no surprise that nobody ever makes snipers, because as Axis they're really just terrible, honestly. They're way too expensive for what you get out of them. Way too expensive.
We have liberated the objective.
So once you've got some scout cars on the field, you pretty much want to immediately find some enemy units and chase them back to base. If they're dumb enough to stand and fight, you might be able to, when they finally do retreat, actually take out entire squads. And that's one of the biggest strengths of scout cars, is that they can chase retreating units quite effectively. So you've got a lot of mobility, so you can cut off important points. You've got a lot of firepower, so that you can win most of these initial engagements. The thing is, you really want to stick your scout cars together, because if you split up, not only is it very difficult to micro, you may end up losing them due to an unlucky Faust and not having any backup.
A sector has been cut off. We have it. Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
At this point, I probably could push into the base and maybe even kill 1 or 2 of these squads, but I'd almost certainly lose at least one of these, if not both. So I decided it would be better to just back off and focus on the center of the map. I've got a 3rd scout car on its way now, and the 4th just makes its way onto the field. And you pretty much want a squad of engineers for every one of your squads of scout cars. That'll keep your fuel, manpower balance where it should be. And of course, start getting flamethrowers as soon as you can. That's going to be your #1 mechanism for really killing infantry before they can do anything. Do be mindful, though, of friendly fire. As you can see, this car has taken almost a third of its health without the enemy firing a single shot. When you have all these cars driving around in such close proximity to each other, that is a pretty serious threat. They will shoot each other.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
But of course, that's what the engineers are for. You have so many engineers, you can repair all that damage. No problem. So, enemy brings a scout car in, and this is going to happen pretty much every game you do this. This is going to be the Axis go-to counter to what you're doing. And the only way for you to beat this is to just out-micro them. Your scout cars can kill their scout cars, believe it or not. You actually do really good damage against these things. You just need to make sure all of your cars are facing forward, and you'll peel through their armor like nothing. But if you let it sneak up behind you, if you let it catch one of your cars alone, it'll tear it to shreds. So it's very, very micro-intensive. It balances on a razor's edge, really. As you can see, I'm not quite ready for this, and my car gets torn to bits. This one's trying to move up to support, does a little damage, but yeah, that one gets killed. But that's okay. You really don't need all of your scout cars to survive for the entire game. You really just need to last long enough to get T-70s and half-tracks and useful things like that. But you really do want to have more map than I've currently got. Right now, I'm not doing very good at holding territory. You really need to sort of split your focus between using engineers to capture the entire map and using scout cars with flamers in them to kill enemy troops and keep their army sort of in check.
We have an isolated sector.
And you can tell I'm not doing a very good job of microing right now. I've got 630 manpower floating. I could have had like 2 or 3 more squads of engineers, or even more scout cars if I felt the fuel investment would have been worth it. My munitions are kind of low, so I can't quite get any more flamethrowers, sadly. And my scout cars are all kind of just blobbed. If I were really pro, I would drive them all over the place, cap and stuff. But it is important to stick them together, especially once there's an enemy scout car on the field, so...
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory. E3 is under attack!
I don't even see that scout car sitting right there. I have no idea where it went. Although I figure it's either in the middle or went back to his base. Meanwhile, I do manage to get a squad actually capping again. I decided to check the middle here, and you'll get to see that 3 scout cars pretty much is the magic number against an enemy upgun scout car. It is possible to take it down without losing a single one. So here we go. This one kind of tanks the brunt of the first volley, and this one drives right up, and boom, look at that. Unfortunately, this one doesn't quite get away, because another one shows up, which I am really not ready for, especially now that these things are turning to fight these grenadiers. Terrible micro on my part. But I do manage to steal this, so it's an interesting trade-off. And I get some really good shots with those engineers. They actually almost kill it right there. So yeah, when I said scout car spam, I meant both Soviet and Axis scout cars. Clearly. Engine destroyed. These guys are going to take it out no problem. In fact, it gets abandoned in there and they can actually steal it. What I don't realize is that the engine is destroyed, so I probably should not have actually retreated those guys. Because now I'm going to struggle to get this thing repaired before more grenadiers show up. Meanwhile, I'm repairing this one back at base. And these guys have handily captured the entire south side of the map unopposed. So at this point, I finally have enough fuel to get some real vehicles on the field. I don't have to rely on scout cars anymore. But using only scout cars and engineers, I have successfully killed 2 enemy scout cars and captured the enemy grenadiers at bay. Captured a decent amount of the map, but honestly not as much as I probably could have if I were a little better. As you can see, my resources have gotten absolutely out of control. Just imagine what I could be doing right now if I had 5 more squads of engineers on the field, or what have you. Feels pretty good to be on the giving end of one of these things. So the doctrine I'm using for this game is a pay-to-win doctrine. It has a repair station, which is similar to the repair bunker from Company of Heroes 1. It has this passive Soviet industry, which basically trades some of your manpower income for fuel income, which is why my manpower rate is so low. My fuel is so high, even though I don't have that much map. And then the other 3 are self-repair, the flame tank, and the KV-2 heavy tank. And I really don't use any of these things this game, except for, of course, the passive kicks in. I think this doctrine is pretty bad, and I think you can probably scout car spam without this doctrine. But I do like to go this doctrine just for the extremely quick vehicle build time. Also, you can see that that's one of the benefits of this passive, is your vehicles hit the field almost immediately. And that's pretty much the only feature of this doctrine I use. Now that I've got a half track, I've really got good control of the battlefield. This guy has yet another scout car, and it's a good thing if the enemy is desperately relying on scout cars. That means they're blowing tons of fuel and munitions on upgunning these things. It means that you're doing a good job. He's not really using hard, proper counters to my light vehicles. If these guys had Panzerschrecks, that would be a whole other story. Fortunately, they're not going to be a threat any longer, thanks to my German scout car. And yeah, as you're doing all this fighting, just keep capping. Just keep on sending those spare squads of engineers all over the map. That's the most important thing, is that even though you're in the middle, you're going to be in very micro-intensive battles pretty much the entire game, managing these fragile light vehicles. You still need to have all of your infantry capturing and so on. And my scout car died. It was fun while it lasted. You're never quite as careful with units that you steal, because if they die, I mean, that was never yours in the beginning, in the first place. What is that? That was 2 engineers worth of manpower for me to take. I got greedy. I was hoping I could kill his scout car with mine, but apparently not. Here comes my T-70 to save the day. And booed. Looks like he's got a Puma. You can actually do decent damage to Pumas if you upgun a half-track with the anti-air thing. Hit it from behind. Look at that, that's not bad. That's like 1 shot from a T-70 per volley if you hit it in the rear. And you can circle strafe a Puma if he's not paying attention, as you can see here. And any light vehicle will pretty much lose to a Puma. You really need 2, and that's what I've done here. You can see my half-track and my T-70 team up and take it out no problem. No problem at all. And I've got 2 squads of engineers right there to repair. Of course, the smart thing to do would be to repair. I don't do that. I drive into the enemy base. And you're going to get a lot of this if you use this strategy. For some reason, people don't like having to fight against massive quantities of light vehicles. So if you get off on that kind of thing, then this is the strategy for you. I know I do. Unfortunately, another Puma hits the field. I really didn't think he had the resources for it, but apparently he does, even though I've had this fuel point for a long time. I just should not have done that. And I got cocky and overconfident, so I thought maybe I would bring in a T-34. Unfortunately, T-34s with this update are absolutely terrible. They're useless for any role. There's nothing that they're good at. They're bad at killing infantry, they're bad at killing tanks, they're bad at killing light vehicles. Their ram ability renders them absolutely useless and does no damage and inflicts no status effects. Honestly, I can't think of a single reason why you would ever spend this ridiculously large quantity of resources on a unit this bad. It's unjustifiable. And if you don't believe me, just watch it try and take out this Puma here in a minute. Try and delay the enemy by planting a few mines. Unfortunately, he sees me do it and gets a minesweeper, so that doesn't really work. But as you can see, my light vehicles have not left him with much to work with. He's got 2 squads of grenadiers, a minesweeper, and a Puma, and nothing else. Meanwhile, I've got 6 squads of engineers now, my T-34, and a brand new half-track on the field. I've also still got 700 manpower. I just have been absolutely terrible about spending my resources this game. But as you can see, it just does not matter. I've been able to keep him at bay with just the vehicles and engineers I put on the field. Have not built a single infantry unit this game, no conscripts, no penal battalions, no guards, no shock troops. Puma, perfectly accurate against the T-34 even when moving, even at long ranges. Great armor penetration even in the front. T-34 on the other hand fires twice and misses. There we go, some damage. Puma gets veterancy, T-34 is almost dead. And it looks like I might win, but no, I shoot the ground. And then the Puma kills a T-34. Absolutely embarrassing. Rendering this base rush an utter and total failure. But at this point it really doesn't matter, he has no map. He has to waste all of his time and energy fighting off my futile base rush. And all the while I've got more vehicles coming on the field. I never should have made that T-34, obviously. Cocky move. You really just want to stick with T-70s and half-tracks when you do this, and push and push and push until the enemy has nothing left. T-34s are terrible. Don't buy them. They're bad. He's just not ready. He has no engineers, he can't repair. Pioneers. There goes the Puma with 1 shot from the T-70, no problem. And the enemy is reduced to absolutely nothing except for a injured squad of grenadiers and some pilots. And he's not happy about this. He is not happy about this situation at all. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, Scout Car Spam pushed me into the mid-game, used nothing but engineers to cap, and that's the game. That's everything. So if you think you've got what it takes to micro a ton of Scout Cars, then I encourage you to give this strategy a try. It's lots of fun, very rewarding, very difficult, but highly amusing when it pays off. So thank you for watching.